Welcome back, folks, to Fishing Planet. Today, we're going to talk about the good and the bad stuff that they added in the update. There is actually quite a bit they added to the update for those of you guys that aren't aware of everything that they added. And I'm sure I'm going to miss a few things, but that's okay. And just keep in mind, this is just my opinion, but we are going to go through all the items, starting with the bad. The first thing I would put over here on the bad side, and not by much, is the new landing net, which you can enable via your menu. And it's not really that it's that bad, it's just a little wonky, and obviously they haven't got it implemented the way they want, otherwise it would be in competitions and on a lot. But it's not really bad. I like the idea of it, and they are trying to get a new mechanic in. Another thing they added during this update that I would put in the bad category is the horizontal load indicator. Now I put an asterisk on it because it's an addition. It doesn't take anything from the game, and I like the line to keep that. You don't have to use it currently. So, like I said, it's an addition, so I can see him trying to help, but it doesn't really work that well. Honestly, it's better than the simple one, but I don't know why anybody would switch off to Pro. It's a lot easier to see off to the right-hand side. It's bigger, and you get a better read on what's going on each individual part of your pole. Like I said, it's not terrible. It's just not very good addition. And the last thing bad about this update is the bugs. Hands down, the bugs. Whether it's the way you hold your fish or some other bugs that have introduced themselves. One of them, which is on some of the menus, not all of them, but some of the menus on PlayStation, maybe some other platforms now, you can go down, but you can only go up like one spot. So you end up having to go ahead and alternate back and forth on your menu just to get to the top of your friends list. There is a lot of other ones as well. Running screens are back again, which seemed to be not that big of a deal. Before, they'd finally gotten that kind of narrowed down. A lot of the old bugs are still here, but one really big one for me that made me nervous right after the update came out was it's actually happened to a few other friends as well, so I'm sure a lot of you know about it. I logged on, and a big majority of my X Series gear was completely missing. Now, luckily, I did only have to close the game out and reopen it, but still, that shouldn't have happened. A few other things. There's new flying fish problems, which isn't the end of the world because them are kind of a good laugh. And the mission for the fish monster, Mighty Benga. This is a very interesting one, and thanks for everybody telling me about this because I have not had to do it. But the fish monster Mighty Benga, let's see if I can go to it here. Give me 1 second. Fish monsters Mighty Benga. The first part of the mission now, you cannot actually catch it, believe it or not. It says it does the pull is too small thing. I'm not sure if this is on all platforms, but I got a lot of comments about it. So the first part of it now, it doesn't even let you try to go. So if you guys don't remember, I actually did do this one on the first mission before with my kayak. And I never had to do the second part of the mission. Now, while they did introduce some new bad bugs, they fixed some old ones as we start to move to the good side here. The spod recipe making seems to be about 90% fixed, which is huge. That it was something that took up a lot of time if you were mixing spod for oversized fish. And they did fix the Troy bug mostly. They didn't get it completely, but pretty satisfactory job on that. Another thing that I would kind of put in the good is the new animations. If you haven't seen them, most of the lakes have some really cool fish animations, and I do actually like this. Now the fish might be a little big, but before they were way too small, and I really like the new animations. It's just something I noticed pretty quickly and enjoyed quite a bit. And then also another one that is on here that's leaning towards the good side is the new fighting mechanics of the fish. To be honest, I don't have it too high up on the list because it doesn't really feel that different to me. You get more feedback from your controller, but the fish themselves on the way they fight do not feel a whole lot different. That being said, it does seem to have fixed if some of you guys remember, sometimes you would have a crazy long fight on a perch on a waterfall as part of the reason I didn't use that spot very often. And also what I always called on the channel the log sharks. The sharks that would just sit on the bottom of the young sharks that would sit on the bottom of the water and not move. Them don't seem nearly as frequent anymore. Now, for me, you guys are going to laugh, but this might be my favorite part of the update. We got new markers. Every time an update comes on, I go ahead and check and make sure to see if there's an update to added markers. The new limit is now 1,700. I am so excited about that. Might be my favorite thing about the whole update. Some of you guys might not be aware of it, but like I said, whenever update comes out, I'm checking to see if I got more markers. Then also too, kind of on them along the same lines, we now can have more friends. As you can see, before we were limited to 200. Now, that is definitely good for me because I've always been essentially maxed out on my friends list. Another thing I really enjoyed about this update was clubs. While it doesn't have huge implications yet, it is handy. There is a few reasons. First of all, the club rooms we get bonus XP. That's pretty cool, especially if you're lower level. They didn't make it hard to get. And now everybody can be in a group. A lot of teams are using it, obviously, because I'll tell you what, on my friends list, I'm really glad for this club sings on just one lone effect on itself is people are going to probably stop changing their names every 30 seconds, hopefully. I know I got friends that change their name more than they've changed their underwear on this game with them joining teams and stuff like that. So hopefully this will help that a little bit. But it was just a cool addition in general. Could it be implemented more? Well, we could see. But I'm okay with it just the way it is right now. I do enjoy it quite a bit. Now, a lot of this I did videos on last week, so I'm not going to get into too many details on some of this, but the new XP system with the same exact fish before, now you can actually get more XP with the tackle modifiers and the clubmate bonus changes. So it is really actually handy to use the correct gear for fish compared to what it used to be. The last part is the new pole mechanics. If you have not seen the guide I put out on the new mechanics for poles, you should watch it if some of this seems a little different or confusing to you. However, the new max drag is definitely more realistic. You can actually basically turn up your drag and not let line out. Also, the new damage system, while not perfect, and I stress this whole system is not perfect, a lot of it is more realistic. For example, the damage, if you have something at equal strength, everything maxed out, the line actually pops first, which is very realistic. And then the rod wears out, and then the reel takes the least amount of damage, believe it or not. And actually, just out of sheer luck, this happened this weekend. Someone that was fishing with us this weekend had too big of a reel on a pole with too big of a line and actually snapped their rod, believe it or not. But another thing interesting about the new pole mechanics is, contrary to popular belief, if you didn't see that video, you can still use max drag setups quite effectively. They take a lot more work to set up and a lot more time, effort, and money, but you can definitely do that. Overall, the update, I think, although it had a very rocky start and in beta, a lot of the Fishing Planet, the beta testers didn't get heard, and then they brought the update out to PC, and it had a lot of issues. Well, right now, I do think the update's in a pretty good spot, and I think it gets a little bit of a bad rap. I get that it had a rough start, but right now where it sits, it's not terrible. I wish it didn't have the bugs that it did, but all in all, it's not awful. For example, nothing in this update is really forced other than the new pole mechanics. If you don't like clubs, you don't have to join a club. The XP system added to it. Again, the landing keep net, if you don't want to use, you don't have to use it. Or the new load indicator, you don't have to. So nothing was really forced in this update, and the forced stuff that was, like the XP system, was a bonus. A lot of people are just up in the air whether they like the new pole mechanics or not. Now, for me, actually, I like the update quite a bit because I think it adds a lot towards the future, where very possibly some of these things could be implemented better down the road and be a pretty cool addition to the game, like the landing net. But anyway, down in the comments, you guys know I always love hearing what you guys are. Tell me what your guys' favorite and least favorite thing about the update was down below. And you guys have an amazing day, folks. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.